Virgo, before I say anything else, I need you to know something. Something that is true right now, in this specific moment, regardless of everything that has happened, regardless of what was done to you, or who did it, or how long you have been carrying the weight of it. You are protected, welcome, and let that be the foundation of everything I am about to tell you. Um, there was a betrayal. I want to acknowledge that first. Before I talk about what is coming for the people who are responsible for it, before I talk about the movement of energy, or the return of what was set in motion, I want to sit here for a moment and acknowledge what happened to you. Someone, or more than one person, did something that broke trust, that violated something that was supposed to be safe or honest or protected by the nature of the relationship. What they did was not a mistake, not an accident, not a misunderstanding that could be resolved with clarification. It was a deliberate act, or a series of deliberate acts that prioritized something for themselves over the truth they owed you, or the loyalty they had committed to, or the basic decency that any person is owed by the people who claim to be in their corner. That happened, and it left something in you. Marks that do not simply disappear because time has passed, or because you have processed it, or because you have tried very hard to not let what they did continue to have power over how you live. I see that, and I want you to know that it is seen. Now let me tell you what is in motion. For the people who did this, there is a principle that is older than any spiritual tradition, older than any specific belief system that exists across every culture that has ever tried to make sense of how the world works. And it says simply, what you put out returns to you. Not always immediately, not always in the exact form you might expect, not always visibly, in a way that the person who was wronged gets to witness, but with the particular reliability of something. That does not need human enforcement or human timing. To be real, what was put into your situation by the people who betrayed you is now returning to them. Not because you wished it, not because you did anything to set it in motion, but because that is how energy works consistently, without exception, without the possibility of being avoided by someone who has put something into the world and hoped it would not find its way back. I want to describe what is happening to them now, because I think you deserve to understand it, not to take pleasure in it, but to understand that the universe has not forgotten. Even when it seemed like it had, even when time passed and nothing visible changed, and you wondered if what was done to you would simply be absorbed into the world without consequence, without any accounting. That wondering was natural, and it was not accurate. What is happening to them now is that the things they used to betray you, the qualities they weaponized, or the trust they violated, or the position they abused, are now the very things creating difficulty in their own lives, not as punishment handed down by a judging force, but as the natural consequence of how they have been operating in the world, which extends beyond you to other people and other situations, and eventually to themselves. The patterns that allowed them to betray you are the same patterns that are now causing things to unravel in their own story, because patterns do not discriminate. They apply to everyone, including the people who thought they were only applying them outward to others and would never turn inward on themselves. I do not want to dwell too long on them, because this message is ultimately about you and your protection and your forward path, not about theirs. But I want to say one more thing about what is happening on their side before I turn fully to you. They know on some level what they did and what it was worth. People who betray others rarely do it with the full, clean conscience they sometimes present to the world. There is usually something that knows, that works in the background, that has to be managed or suppressed or simply lived alongside with the particular discomfort of someone who knows they are not living in alignment with their own integrity. That knowing does its own work, quietly, over time, in ways that may not be visible from the outside, but that are very real from the inside. They are living with what they did in the way that people live with things that they cannot fully put down or rationalize away or pretend did not happen, because some things simply remain in the person who did them as long as they remain unaddressed. Now, the protection, I want to speak to this directly because I think it is the most important part of this message, and the part that I need you to actually internalize rather than just hear. You are protected, not in a passive way, not in the way that protection sometimes means nothing bad will happen to you, which is not a promise anyone can make or should make. In a world where things happen that are outside the control of any single person, protected in the specific way that means what was done to you has not succeeded in its deepest intention, which was to diminish you or to derail you or to reduce what you are capable of or to define your future by the worst thing someone else was willing to do in a moment when they chose themselves over you. That intention did not succeed. You are still here, still capable, still carrying what you carry, which is significant, still moving, even when moving is hard, still building, even in the aftermath of something that had the potential to stop the building entirely. That is the protection, your own resilience, your own continuation, your own refusal to be defined by what was done to you. I also want to speak about the external protection because it is real too. And it is operating in ways you may not always see, but that are present. There are people in your life who did not participate in the betrayal, who were not part of what happened to you. who have been, in their own quiet way, a kind of protection by remaining honest, by remaining loyal, by not adding to what was already hard, by being exactly what they said they were, without the performance of loyalty while practicing the opposite. Those people, the ones who have been simply, quietly, reliably there, are a form of protection too, one that is easy to take for granted. When the attention goes to those who betrayed rather than to those who did not, let yourself see them. The ones who did not, they deserve to be seen, fully, not in the shadow of the people who failed you. I want to say something now about the way forward, because this message is not just about what happened or about what is happening now on their side. It is about what comes next for you, and I want to be clear about what I see there. The betrayal was a disruption, a real one, with real consequences that changed things, some of which cannot be unchanged, and some of which produced losses that are genuinely losses and do not need to be minimized. But the disruption was not the ending. What comes after the disruption is a version of your life that is built on what survived the betrayal, on the things that prove themselves real, by remaining intact, through something designed to break them. What survived is stronger now, not in the inspirational way that people sometimes say things are stronger, in the literal material way, the way a structure that has been tested and held is demonstrably stronger than one that has not been tested and whose strength is still only theoretical. Your strength is not theoretical. It has been tested and it held. That is the foundation of what comes next. I want to close by telling you something about letting this go, or more precisely, about what letting this go actually means. Because I think the phrase is sometimes used in a way that feels dismissive, like you are supposed to simply release something real because holding it is unhealthy and move on, as if the holding and the moving on are equally available to everyone at all times. That is not what I mean. What I mean is simpler and more honest. You do not have to carry them forward with you, not as a project, not as a preoccupation, not as the primary lens through which you understand your own story. What they did is part of your story. It is not the whole of it, and it does not have to be the loudest part. Going forward, what is louder than them is what you are building now. What is more significant than what they did is what you are doing in the aftermath, which is continuing, which is forward, which is, more than anything else, proof that the betrayal did not succeed in what it was ultimately trying to do. The karma is real, it is in motion, and you do not have to manage it or watch for it or concern yourself with its arrival or its timing or its specific form. It is not your work. It never was. Your work is this, the continuing, the building, the living of a life. That is yours. That belongs to you. That was not destroyed by what they did, even when it felt like it might be. You are protected. The betrayal did not win, and what comes next belongs entirely to you, not to them, not to what they did, not to the marks they left, to you who survived it and is still here, building,